My name is Brian Stevens, and it is my distinct honor, a tremendous privilege, and a pleasure to serve this outstanding region as the President and CEO of the Hampton Roads Chamber. The Hampton Roads Chamber is the chamber that means business. We put that into our brand, and we mean it. The Hampton Roads Chamber's sole purpose is to set the conditions so that businesses in Portsmouth, as well as businesses throughout the Hampton Roads region, can be a success. It is our honor and it is our privilege to host this event again this year, and on behalf of our board of directors and our thousands of member organizations, I want to thank Mayor Rowe, I want to thank the City Council, and I want to thank all of the Portsmouth City staff for the outstanding job that they're doing here in Portsmouth. Let's give them a round of applause. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we go any further in the program, I would ask you to please stand so that we may pay tribute to our nation with the presentation of the colors and the national anthem. Color Guard, present the colors.
Detail. Hope. Left. Face. Freeze it. Cut.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the brave and the
Carry. Cut. Right. Face. Forward. March. Left. Left.
Ladies and gentlemen, as the Color Guard is departing, I want to recognize them. They're the Portsmouth Police and Fire Honor Guard. I also want to recognize the singer this morning, Miss Erin Hannon from the Virginia Opera. Let's give them a round of applause. Please be seated. We have some special guests among us that I would like to take this opportunity to recognize. First of all, I'd like to recognize the head table, which is down to my left here. Of course, we have the Honorable John Rowe, Mayor of the City of Portsmouth, and his lovely wife, Carol, is with us. John, thank you. We have some other mayors visiting us today. The Honorable Rick West, Mayor of Chesapeake, the Honorable Will Sessions, Mayor of Virginia Beach, and the Honorable Kenneth Alexander, the Mayor of Norfolk. Let's give these mayors a round of applause. We also have the Chairman of the Board of the Hampton Roads Chamber with us, Glenn Robinson. Glenn, thank you for joining us. The President of Town Bank, Portsmouth, Suffolk. You'll hear from her in a minute. Robin Cook is with us. Robin, thank you. And we also have at the head table Lieutenant Commander Eric Malmstrom, who is a chaplain with the United States Coast Guard. Lieutenant Commander, welcome. I'd also like to recognize Aaron Carter, who is representing Senator Mark Warner, and Diane Kaufman, who's representing Senator Tim Kaine, are with us. So please, thank you very much for representing your senators. We have several members of the Virginia State General Assembly with us. Senator Mamie Locke is with us, Senator Luis Lucas, Senator John Cosgrove, Delegate Matthew James, and Delegate Steve Heretic are all with us. Let's give them a round of applause. I'd like to recognize members of the Portsmouth City Council that are with us, the Vice Mayor Elizabeth Simmis, Council members Bill Moody, Ray Smith Sr., Nathan Clark, and Lisa Lewis Burke are with us. Let's give the City Council a round of applause over here. I'd also like to recognize the City Manager, Dr. Lydia Pettis-Patton, and also the Commissioner of Revenue, Frankie Edmondson, are with us. Let's give them a round of applause. And I'd also like to recognize the entire staff of the great city of Portsmouth. Thank you for all that you do on a daily basis to make Portsmouth such a great place. From the city of Suffolk, we have with us Councilman Lou Ward, and from the city of Chesapeake, we have Councilman Lonnie Craig. Let's give them a round of applause. Obviously, when we talk about Portsmouth, we know that there is a good group of military here in the city. I'd like to recognize Rear Admiral Meredith Austin, who's the commander of the 5th District United States Coast Guard, as well as Captain Ted St. Pierre, Chief of Staff, Atlantic Area Coast Guard. We have Captain Scott Brown, who's the commander of Norfolk Naval Shipyard, and Captain Brenda Kerr, who's the commander of Portsmouth as well. So let's give our military a round of applause. Thank you very much. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I'm truly blessed in the fact that I get to work with so many great people here in Hampton Roads. I want to recognize some of them that are true civic leaders in every sense of the word, who really come to work every day to drive our economy, to create jobs, and to make this a great place to live and work. I'd like to recognize Mr. Bob Crum, who is the Executive Director of the Hampton Roads Planning District Commission. Bob. I'd like to recognize Kevin Page, who is Executive Director of the Hampton Roads Transportation Accountability Commission. Craig Quigley, the Executive Director of the Hampton Roads Military and Federal Facility Alliance. Sean Avery, who's the President and CEO of Opportunity, Inc. Rick Weddle, the President and CEO of the Hampton Roads Economic Development Alliance. And Jim Spohr, who's the President and CEO of Reinvent Hampton Roads. Let's give these civic leaders a round of applause. Thank you so much. I'd also like to recognize our major sponsors who, without their generous support, we'd be unable to do these events. So our series presenting sponsor this year is Town Bank. Robin, thank you again for all that you and Town Bank do to support the Chamber and the business community. Thank you very much. Our series platinum sponsor is Bon Secours Virginia Health System, and we'd like to welcome Paul Gadden. Paul is relatively new. I understand this is his third or fourth day on the job. So, Paul, welcome to Hampton Roads. I know you're coming here from Portland, Oregon. I think you'll love Hampton Roads, and we look forward to working with you in the days, weeks, and years to come. Our series gold sponsor is Geico, John Pham. Again, Geico is so supportive of the Hampton Roads community, and we just appreciate all that they do. Our series silver sponsors are AB&B Federal Credit Union, and Charlie Mallon is here. Charlie, thank you. Norfolk State University Online, Opportunity, Inc. Again, Sean, thank you so much. And Optima Health, Dennis Mathis is with us from Optima Health. So thank you all very much. Our host sponsor is the Renaissance Portsmouth Norfolk Waterfront Hotel. Mr. Tony Pinto is with us. Tony is over here. Thank you, Tony, for all you and your staff. We love having events here. Our series media sponsor is Cox Communication, and we have with us today for the first time Al Wiggert. Al is brand new to the area as well, been here a couple of months now, and is again in charge of Cox Media here. So Al, we look forward to working with you, and we truly appreciate all Cox Media's support with everything that we do. Our series radio sponsor is Sinclair Communications. I'm not sure if Julie's in the room, but we appreciate them. And finally, our series magazine sponsor is Virginia Business Magazine, and I know Bernie Niemeyer is here somewhere. Bernie, thank you so much. Over here. If you do not get a copy of Virginia Business Magazine on a monthly basis and you're in business here in Hampton Roads, you really should. Bernie and his team put out a great product that keeps us all informed about what's going on in the business community throughout the Commonwealth. And I know Bernie's got a table out here, so sign up to get the Virginia Business Magazine. And Bernie, once again, thank you for being here and all of your support. Finally, I'd like to thank all of our program, exhibit, and table sponsors for their support. Their names are on the back of your programs, so if you take a look at those and if you see them, thank them for their support. Let's give all of our sponsors a big round of applause. So to get us started with lunch at this time, I'd like to call on Chaplain Eric Malmstrom, District 5, United States Coast Guard, to provide us with an invocation. Chaplain?
Let us pray. Almighty God, you have given us this good land as our heritage. Grant that we remember your generosity and constantly do your will. Bless our land with honest industry, truthful education, and an honorable way of life. Save us from violence, discord, and confusion, from pride and arrogance, from every evil course of action. Grant that we, who came from many nations with many different languages, may truly become a united people. Support us in defending our liberties and give to those to whom we have entrusted the authority of government, the spirit of wisdom, that there may be justice and peace in our land. When times are prosperous, may our hearts be thankful, and in troubled times do not let our trust in you fail. Heavenly Father, God of all concord, it is your gracious will that your children on earth live together in harmony and peace. Defeat the plans of all those who would stir up violence and strife. Destroy the weapons of those who delight in war and bloodshed, and according to your will, end all conflicts in the world. Teach us to examine our own hearts, that we may recognize our own inclination toward envy, malice, hatred, and enmity. Help us by your word and spirit to search our hearts and to root out the evil that would lead to strife and discord, so that in our lives we may be at peace with all people. Lord, bless our city, bless our states, bless our nation. And we pray, O Lord, that you would bless this meal that has been prepared for us, that it may serve as a means to encourage fellowship between all of us gathered here, that we may leave this place in a spirit of love and peace together. Lord, all this we pray today in your holy and precious name. Amen.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Thank you very much, Chaplain. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy your lunch. We'll be back with you shortly to introduce the mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, can I have your attention, please? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I know that some lunches are still being served and most of us are still enjoying lunch, so please continue to eat your lunch and enjoy, but for the interest of time, we're going to have to go ahead and get started. But before we do, I had some omissions in the introductions this morning. I'd like to recognize our great Congressman. Congressman Bobby Scott is with us. Congressman, thank you for coming. Also from the city, we have the treasurer, Paige Cherry, is here. Paige, thank you. Our sheriff, Michael Moore, is with us today. Sheriff, thank you so much. And also the clerk of the court, Cynthia Morrison, is with us as well. So let's give all of them, and also all the city, again, the city officials, a round of applause. Thank you so much. At this time, I'd like to introduce Robin Cook, president of Town Bank for Portsmouth, Suffolk, to come forward and provide introductions to the mayor. Robin?
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you today to welcome you to the Portsmouth State of the City Address. Town Bank is honored to once again be presenting sponsor for the series of 5 State of the City addresses. More than 4,000 people attend the series that brings together business, civic, and community leaders from across Hampton Roads. Town Bank shares the vision of the Hampton Roads Chamber of Commerce to help businesses succeed, drive regional economic growth, and improve life for the residents in our communities. Town Bank opened in 1999, and today we have 40 offices throughout Hampton Roads, the Richmond area, and northeastern North Carolina. In January, we welcomed Paragon Bank to the town family. Paragon is based in Raleigh with offices in Charlotte and Cary. We are excited to have this excellent team of professionals join us. We recently learned that Greenwich Associates, an independent research firm, has recognized Town Bank for small business excellence in 7 categories. Town Bank was one of just 33 honored nationally, which is something we are very proud of. When Town Bank opened, the vision was to build not only a hometown bank, but also a community asset that would enhance the quality of the life in the cities that we serve. Over the years, we have continued our commitment by supporting hundreds of local charitable organizations through donations, scholarships, and grants. I'm proud to say that since 1999, we have donated over $49 million to local organizations in the communities we serve. Today, I am honored to introduce Mayor John Rowe. John was elected mayor of our city on November 8, 2016. He grew up in Portsmouth, was educated in Portsmouth Public Schools, and graduated from Woodrow Wilson High School. He is a distinguished military graduate of the Virginia Military Institute, and after graduating from VMI, served 5 years in the U.S. Army as a commissioned officer in the Army's infantry branch. Mayor Rowe began his work in local government in 1971 for the Norfolk city manager. In 1975, he became assistant city manager in Suffolk. He went on to serve as city manager of Poquoson, Suffolk, Clifton Forge, Emporia, Portsmouth, as well as interim town manager for Windsor. During his career, he helped create the Tidewater Transportation District Commission, now HRT, the Southeastern Virginia Public Service Authority. As chairman of the former Southeastern Planning District Commission, John was part of the leadership that brought about the consolidation of the Peninsula Planning District Commission and the Southeastern Virginia Planning District Commission to create Hampton Roads Planning District Commission. Mayor Rowe has served on numerous boards and commissions, including Portsmouth Volunteers for the Homeless, Future of Hampton Roads, and the Hampton Roads Center for Civic Engagement. John and his wife, Carol, have 2 children and 3 grandchildren. Would you please join me in welcoming Mayor John Rowe?
We have a photo opportunity. Thank you. Well, thank you for that very kind introduction. And good afternoon to everybody. And welcome. Welcome to the wonderful city of Portsmouth and to today's State of the City luncheon. So that I won't keep you in suspense, I want to tell you that with confidence and with a little bit of enthusiasm, that the state of our city is excellent and we are well positioned for the future. Now, I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot or embarrass you, but could you raise your hand if you were here last year? Good. Thanks for coming back. And for those of you who were here last year, you know that my speeches are not really speeches. They're really more of a conversation. And that's what I want to have today with you all, is a conversation about our great city. And I could stand at the lectern and make pronouncements and announcements about projects that may not really turn out to be a reality. But what I want to do today is talk about the realities of what makes Portsmouth a great place to live, a great place to work, or to have a business. And yes, I'll underscore realities because I'm going to give you some real-life examples of success here in Portsmouth. Do you hear that? Do you hear that buzz? Can you hear it? Yeah, right there. That buzz is people talking about Portsmouth. In fact, everybody is talking about Portsmouth. And as I travel throughout the region, I'm encountering more people who are talking about the very positive things that are happening in our city, the great things that are happening right here in Portsmouth. And I've concluded that the reason that people are talking about Portsmouth is that many people in Hampton Roads are just now discovering the many wonderful and amazing aspects of living and working and having a business in Portsmouth. And so today I want to give you some examples of that. And I'm going to tee it up with a little bit of our history. We're an old city. We share that oldness with Norfolk. And by the way, this table over here has a pool going on as to how long my speech will be. And now I tried to put my fingers in my ears, so I don't know what. Who's got 12 minutes again? But our history is intertwined not only with Norfolk, but also with the military. We have deep roots with the Navy, and thank you, Captain Scott Brown, for being here today, but especially deep roots with the Coast Guard. In fact, Congress has declared us a Coast Guard city. And it is so cool, I think, to walk in downtown Portsmouth and see coasties in their tropical blues and their ODUs, that's operational dress uniform. In the Army, we call them BDUs, in downtown Portsmouth, going to lunch, going to the coffee shop, walking between buildings. And for those of you who were here last year, I told you that here in Portsmouth, and just a block away, just one block away, we have one of the major commands that the Coast Guard has, and it's the Atlantic Area Command. It takes up half the globe. Visualize an area that starts with the Rocky Mountains and moves east across the Mississippi, over to the East Coast, across the Atlantic Ocean, across the Mediterranean Sea, and over to the Persian Gulf. That's an area that covers 40 states, 29 countries, 5 of the 9 Coast Guard districts, and 5 million square miles of ocean and waterways. And that command is right here. And the commander is a 3-star admiral. And the current commander is, or commanding officer, is Vice Admiral Carl Schultz. However, not for long, because he's about to take on a new assignment. Last month, he was nominated to become the Commandant of the Coast Guard. And pending, isn't that cool? Pending his confirmation, later this month, he will assume the role of being the nation's #1 top coastie in June. And Admiral Schultz, we consider him our own. And what I want to do first is salute Admiral Schultz on his new assignment, wish him well, and we know that as the nation's #1 coastie, he will always be ready. He will exemplify the motto of the Coast Guard. But we're Portsmouth proud of the fact that he was a part of our community. The first time I met Admiral Schultz was, I was craving for coffee. I had walked from City Hall downtown to the coffee shop, and I walk in, and there's this tall guy in ODUs and talking to a lieutenant commander, Coast Guard. And I looked at him, saw his 3 stars, and I recognized his face. Isn't that really amazing that you can run into the commanding officer of a command that covers half the world at a coffee shop in downtown Portsmouth? Let's all wish Admiral Schultz a great tour as the nation's #1 coastie. And I'd like for all the people who are serving with Admiral Schultz now to stand up, if you're within the footprint of the Atlantic Command, and let's thank all of them for their service, too. Thank you, thank you. And before we go too far, because I think it's really important nowadays to recognize our veterans, I'd like for all the veterans that have served in our armed forces to stand, whether you're Coast Guard, Navy, Army, or Air Force. Thank you for your service. Thank you all. Well, what's the point here besides being really proud about Admiral Schultz? The point is that it doesn't make any difference whether you put on civilian clothes to go to work or a military uniform to go to work. If you work in Portsmouth, it's not the dead end. It's not the end of the line of your career. You have a bright future living and working or owning a business in Portsmouth. Now, I told you I would give you some examples of success. And I'm going to give you another one. And this one involves our Maryview Hospital. IBM Watson Health is an independent organization that for the last 40 years has studied the performance, the outcomes of hospitals throughout this country. And for the last 19 years, they have issued an annual report on the performance of those hospitals that provide cardiovascular service, healthcare, heart healthcare. You might be asking, why just that subject? Well, this is the reason. 1 in 3 American adults has some type of cardiovascular disease. Cardiovascular disease accounts for 1 in 4 deaths in the United States. And cardiovascular disease represents 17% of what we spend totally in this nation on healthcare costs. Well, IBM Watson Health issued their 2017 report last November. And again, what they're doing is looking at the top 50 hospitals. And this is something that you don't apply for. The hospitals that they evaluated were nationwide, and they looked at the outcomes. Well, guess what? Maryview is in the top 50. The top 50 of all the hospitals nationwide that provide cardiovascular healthcare service. Now, this is the gold standard. This is pretty elite group. And had the other 1,000 or so hospitals perform to the same standard as Maryview and the other 49 hospitals, this is what would have happened. An additional 8,900 people would be alive today. 3,700 heart patients would have been discharged from the hospital, complication-free. And as a nation, we would have saved $1.7 billion in addition to the almost 9,000 lives in health care costs. So it's really important that our hospitals be top performers. And I'd like to recognize the medical director, Dr. Robert Lancy, whose photograph is on the screen, and he couldn't be here today, but he and his team, he is the medical director for the cardiovascular services of the Maryview Heart Institute. He and his team are the top performers. And isn't it great? Isn't it great that Maryview's here? It gives me not only a lot of pride, but a lot of comfort that as a citizen of Portsmouth, I don't have to leave the boundaries of Portsmouth in order to visit one of the top 50 hospitals. It's right here. It's right here in Portsmouth, Maryview. Thank you. Well, I'm going to go through a series of 5 more examples of success. And these are small businesses in Portsmouth. And these are, to me, fascinating stories. And to put this in context, when you look at all the businesses nationwide, 99.7% of all the businesses are small businesses. And the employees of these small businesses make up 47% of the total number of employees. And what's even more interesting is that since the end of the Great Recession, small businesses account for 67% of all the new jobs that have been created. For Virginia, the statistics mirror, they're the same. as the national statistics. In Virginia, 99.5% of all of our businesses are small businesses, 48% of the workforce is employees of small businesses. And the interesting thing is that most of these businesses have 20 employees or less. And another interesting statistic, and this is important for Hampton Roads, is that 86% of all the exports from Virginia come from small businesses. Now, there's another study, and that study shows that the average lifespan of a business nationwide is 15 years. But I want you to know that if your small business is in Portsmouth, you have a greater chance of longevity. And let me give you an example. Last year, T.O. Williams celebrated its 100th birthday. Now, in 1917, Thomas Owen Williams opened up a retail butcher shop at 218 South Street, which is not too many blocks from here. And he grew his business. And he went from being a retailer to a wholesaler. And his cousin, Paul Stokely, worked for him. And in 1945, Mr. Stokely, along with 4 of his co-workers, bought the business from Mr. Williams. And they grew the business. But you're probably wondering, what's the punchline? Well, the punchline is that in 1977, an immigrant from South Korea who came to Portsmouth by way of Little Washington, North Carolina, and East Carolina University, bought the business. And I'd like to introduce to you Mr. H.J. Che, the current owner of T.O. Williams. 100 years old. And Mr. Che, and along with his son Peter, and Peter, would you stand up? They have owned and operated and grown this business for the last 40 years. Very much a family business, very much a small business. But guess what? Their 8 meat products, and their signature product is the Virginia smoked sausage, are in 2,200 stores. Let me underscore that. 2,200 stores in 16 states in the Mid-Atlantic and in the southeastern part of our country. And 2 of their biggest customers are Walmart and Food Line. Now, think about what you know, what you've read about trying to place a product in Walmart. And Peter told me an interesting story that in 2003, they get a letter from Walmart saying, never, you're never going to be in our store. But if you go on Walmart anywhere in those 16 states, you'll find that product. So, for 100 years, with 30 employees, they have been producing a high-quality product. And by the way, you're probably wondering, where are they located? They're located at 300 Wythe Street. And you're saying, well, where's that? All right, get in the car with me. We're headed towards the downtown tunnel, but we decide we're going to go downtown. We're going to go to the Railroad Museum of Virginia? Well, they're nestled between the Railroad Museum of Virginia and Wavy TV. And from that point, from that location, they produce 15 million link sausages a year. Now, think about that. If you were to string those sausages out, one end, that would be 1,400 miles. The distance from Portsmouth to San Antonio, Texas. Right here in Portsmouth. Right here in Portsmouth. An example that you can beat the odds, that you can have longevity here in Portsmouth. Now, let me give you another example. Amazon is changing the way retail business is done. And stores throughout the country and cities too are trying to figure out how to become Amazon-proof. Well, the next business that I'm going to introduce to you is Amazon-proof. And if you don't believe it, you talk to the owner. And I'm talking about the kitchen coop, which is my cheering section over here applauding because I pronounced it right this time. The kitchen coop was founded 20 years ago by Dion Foster. And Dion, are you here? I mean, yes, I know you're here. Will you stand up? Now, let me tell you about this small business. Dion grew up in Baltimore, and she married a Marine helicopter pilot. And as you know, when you're a Marine family, you get to live throughout the world. And when they lived in London, Dion got the opportunity to go to the premier, the very best cooking, and cooking's my term, it's really culinary school in Great Britain. And that is the École Le Cordon Bleu. And seriously, that is where you go if you want to be a professional chef, a professional baker. And while a student there, she wrote down on a piece of paper kind of a dream idea. A retail store that would sell cookwares and gourmet ingredients, products for the kitchen. And she wrote down the kitchen coop. And she got a degree in French culinary arts and baking and pastries. Well, the Marine Corps moved them back to the United States, and lucky for us, moved them back to Hampton Roads. And Dion got a chance to implement her dream. And 20 years ago, in 1998, she opened up the kitchen coop. And for the last 20 years, it's been the go-to place if you want high-quality kitchenware, kitchen gadgets, gourmet ingredients, spices, loose tea, great-smelling gourmet coffee. Or better yet, in addition, she runs a school. And so if you're a erstwhile chef like me, who spills more on the floor and on my apron than I put in the dish, you can learn how to cook gourmet dishes right there in the kitchen coop. Now, Dion is Amazon-proof. And you know why? Amazon cannot box up and package that wonderful smell when you open the door and step into her shop and you're overcome by that great, great, great mixture of spices and coffee and tea. They can't package that and deliver it to you. They can't package the explanation of that most curious and interesting kitchen gadget that you just bought and how to use it. And lastly, they cannot package the cooking lesson that you get from a professional chef like Dion. Another example that a business can thrive and grow and succeed in downtown Portsmouth. Dion, thank you. Now, you met Tracy Link right at the beginning here. And Tracy Link is another small business owner in Portsmouth, and she's part of the chamber leadership. And let me tell you about her business. 3 years ago, she gets a check in the mail from her mom, who lived in Pittsburgh, $500. Get a job. She takes that $500 and creates a business, Integrity Security Services. And in 3 years' time, she has grown that business from a $500 check that she gets in the mail from her mother to a business that's got $1 million worth of revenues in 3 years. And if you want to see the epitome of entrepreneurial spirit, talk to Tracy. But her passion for Portsmouth runs deeper than that entrepreneurial spirit. And so just don't take my word for it. You would expect me to brag on Portsmouth. You would expect me to tell you about how great Portsmouth is to do business. I want you to seek out Tracy and talk to her about what it means to do business in Portsmouth. Again, going from $500, a check in the mail from your mom saying getting a job, to a business that employs 46 people and has $1 million in revenues in just 3 years. That's incredible. The next business that I want to talk about is a veteran-owned business that was started in Portsmouth in 2007 by a 6-year Navy veteran, Johnny Garcia. And the business that he started, you see on the screen here, is Simis. S-I-M-I-S. And if you haven't heard about this company, let me tell you very briefly what they do. It's awesome. They are a technology company. They're on the cutting edge of simulation and modeling. And I'll reverse that and say modeling and simulation. Johnny has 25 years worth of experience in engineering. After he got his bachelor's degree, he has 2 master's degrees from the Florida Institute of Technology. He has his doctorate degree in modeling and simulation from ODU. And what his company does is not state-of-the-art. It is truly the cutting edge of technology. It's the cutting edge of unmanned vehicles. Whether that vehicle is on the ground, in the air, or on the water. It's the cutting edge of artificial intelligence. Johnny used to be in downtown Portsmouth up until last summer. He was at the Town Bank building at the foot of High Street. he moved to the Mass Center in Portsmouth off of the Western Freeway. And MASS stands for Modeling and Assimilation Technology. And when he made that move, his company grew from 30 employees to over 100 employees. And his customers include some of the biggest technology users in this country, in our country. The Department of Defense, the Department of Energy, the Department of Commerce, NASA, Homeland Security. And one of his biggest customers in the Department of Defense is the Marine Corps. And you're probably wondering, what does he do for the Marine Corps? Well, this is an illustration. Let's say the Marine Corps, at a very high-level command, gets a mission to do a big mission in Afghanistan. Johnny's company, using technology, determines how to put that mission together. What is needed in order to accomplish that mission? Johnny's advice, the guiding principle for him, is this: work to shape your own future, work to shape your company's future, and work to shape the future of the world. And right here in Portsmouth, Virginia, we have a veteran-owned small business that's succeeding and growing and thriving and shaping the future of the world. Johnny Garcia. The next company, and let me put it in context. As you know, the Port of Virginia constitutes 10% of the state's economy. 1 in every 10 jobs in Virginia is either directly or indirectly related to the port. And the Virginia Port Authority has 4 marine terminals here in Hampton Roads. They've got a terminal in Newport News. They've got one in Norfolk, of course, Norfolk International Terminal. They've got Portsmouth Marine Terminal, and they got the Virginia International Gateway. And both of those last two are in Portsmouth. So 50% of what the Port Authority operates in Hampton Roads is here in Portsmouth. Now, I cannot underscore how important the port operations are to Virginia and to our country. I told you last year when we had our State of the City address that in May, the biggest ship that would at that time ever call on the East Coast, container ship, was going to call on May the 8th. And that was the Costco Development, a ship that is 1,200 feet long. That's as tall as the 4th tallest skyscraper in Manhattan. So visualize standing at the foot of the Bank of America Tower, looking up and rotating that building 90 degrees. That's how long that ship was. But that ship carries 13,092 containers. And to give you some idea how long that is, how many containers, visualize taking each one of those containers off the ship, putting them end to end, going south. The last container would be at Elizabeth City. So you drive that whole distance from Portsmouth to Elizabeth City looking at containers over your right shoulder. Well, on August the 28th, an even bigger ship came. And that was the Teddy Roosevelt. And that ship had 14,412 containers. Oh my gosh. Take each container off, go west, You go through Suffolk, you go through Franklin, you take a left, you end up in Murfreesboro, North Carolina. That's where the last container would be off of that ship. Now, how do you move those containers? You got to get the containers off the ship. You got to get them off the dock. You got to get them over to the truck or to the rail. And by the way, if you've ever been dockside and look at the ship-to-shore cranes, they're awesome. Think about this motion. Think about a crane that's 17 stories high, that's got a boom arm that goes out 220 feet. And so you pick up a container, you're a crane operator, you got this thing going up, then you're moving horizontal, and you can put that thing right on the ship without knocking the rest of the containers off into the water. And you can do that 70 times an hour. I mean, that's incredible. But what moves the cranes around the port and gets them off the ship are cranes. And the next company that I want to talk about, it's a Portsmouth company, is in the crane business. They maintain them, but they do more than that. And I want to talk about Dan Stevens and Port Rail Crane Services. Dan grew up on a 1,400-acre farm in Ohio. And at the age of 18, he decided, you know what? I don't want to be a farmer for the rest of my life. So he goes into town looking for a job. Now, mind you, this is in Ohio. And he sees that a company called Western Branch Diesel, some people get it, Western Branch Diesel is a Portsmouth company, is hiring. And so he's hired. And he works for Herb Hanneman and Western Branch Diesel. Herb brings him to Portsmouth, and he works for them for 11 years. And then he goes to work for the Port Authority. And he works for them for 13 years. And he works on cranes. And he's a foreman. And he's having a problem getting contractors. And he says, you know, I'm going to start my own business. And he did that in 2001. He started a business called Port Equipment Services. And he grew that business, and it's a Portsmouth business, such that in 6 years he had 60 employees working for him. And it was the small business of the year. Well, when you grow like that, you become a candidate for being purchased by the giants of the industry. And a giant bought his company, Kalmar, one of the biggest port contractors in the world. It's a global company. And he worked with them until 2015, but he still had this desire in his heart to be an entrepreneur. So he comes back to Portsmouth, and he starts Port Rail Crane Services. And today, April the 6th, 2018, is his 3rd birthday. Happy birthday, Dan. Now, Dan, let me tell you what Dan is doing. The largest order for cranes in the United States was put in last year. You know, the port has gotten a huge sum of money from the General Assembly to do expansions both in Norfolk, and I'm pointing to Mayor Kenny Alexander, and in Portsmouth. In Portsmouth, at Virginia International Gateway, they're spending $320.5 million to double the capacity of Virginia International Gateway. And this project's in its 2nd year. So they need cranes. They ordered 90 cranes. Now, what does 90 cranes look like? Well, if you were to take all the structural components of those cranes and put them end, it would go 13.6 miles. If you put all the cables end to end, it would stretch 13.5 miles. If you combined all the weight, those cranes would weigh twice as much as the Brooklyn Bridge. Those cranes come shipped in parts. Somebody's got to put them together like an erector set. And who's doing it? Dan. Five examples of what Brian talked about earlier about success of small businesses. 5 fascinating stories about how you can grow your business and survive in Portsmouth. 5 wonderful stories about businesses that are under the radar. As Peter Che told me, we like keeping a low profile as we do business with the giants of the grocery retail business. We just try not to get stomped by the big guys. And that's what business is about in America. That's what it's about in Virginia. That's what it's about in Portsmouth. So, if you want to start a business, talk to Brian, and I would offer you an opportunity in Portsmouth. Now, we've had some exciting things happen over the last year. I've talked about our small businesses. We've had quite a number of ribbon cuttings this year. We've had a year that's full of energy. And maybe the best way to capture this is to look at a video. What do you think? I mean, we've got to have a video. It's the state of the city. All right, let's roll that video.
Everybody's talking about Portsmouth. Everybody's talking about Portsmouth.
Everybody's talking about Portsmouth.
Everybody's talking about Portsmouth. Woo!
Everybody's talking about Portsmouth.
Woo! Everybody's talking about me. Everybody's talking about Portsmouth.
Everybody's talking about Portsmouth.
Everybody's talking about Portsmouth. Everybody's talking about Portsmouth.
Everybody's talking about Portsmouth. That's what happens when you're an urban core of Hampton Roads, the gateway to America's heartland. Portsmouth sits center stage in a region comprised of 17 municipalities. Situated on one of the deepest natural harbors on the Intracoastal Waterway, you can access Portsmouth via an improved infrastructure connecting our roads, tunnels, railways, waterways, and people. Everybody's talking about Portsmouth, from our historic seaport and waterfront to our wildlife preserves. Portsmouth sets the standard for the conservation of these natural habitats. Everybody's talking about the increase of maritime-related service companies that located here last year, a direct result of the expansion of Virginia's ports and the economic growth in Portsmouth and the state. We've got so much to talk about. The Portsmouth Marine Terminal transports nearly 200,000 containers annually. Calmar USA, Inc., a cargo handling solutions business, is expanding its footprint in Portsmouth, bringing new jobs and diversifying the commercial mix in the Midtown Business District. Business is booming in Portsmouth. Everybody's talking about the high-quality lifestyle Portsmouth offers. Access a lifestyle that boasts abundant walking communities, with tree-lined bike lanes, neighborhoods with diverse architectural styles, and access to all kinds of shopping right here in Portsmouth. Planning a visit? The Renaissance Portsmouth Waterfront Hotel, owned and operated by Charmaine Hotels, will remain open during its multi-million-dollar modernization renovation. The 249-room conference hotel boasts a spacious outdoor terrace that provides scenic and expansive views of the world's largest natural deep water harbor, making it the jewel of the Elizabeth River. Guess what else everybody's talking about? Later this summer, old meets new again as Portsmouth recreates Portside with a new outdoor structure complete with food and beverage vendors and the hottest weekday concert series, Sunset Thursdays, beginning June 7. Keep your sights locked. Everybody's talking about the $100 million in new and redeveloped multifamily housing downtown and how Portsmouth is attracting both millennials and empty nesters. Additional multifamily housing units have also been proposed for the Victory Square area of the city. Come home to Portsmouth, where you can enjoy a relaxing and scenic boat ride along the Elizabeth River, Scotts Creek, or any of the other connected rivers, canals, and sounds. Everybody's talking about our museum scene and how the city's Union Bank and Trust Pavilion attracts national musical acts. Access a workforce that is well-educated, dependable, and trainable, as well as access a varied customer base. Income levels in the city are growing faster than the state and national averages. Everybody's talking about our schools. Portsmouth Public Schools added 4 new career and technical education courses, including cybersecurity, sports medicine, and TV production. And our young people can earn industry certification in any of these fields, which will help them find work. Portsmouth Public Schools expanded its STEM program by launching an augmented virtual reality lab at IC Norcom High School, enabling students to don goggles and use computer software to study earth science and biology. Everybody's talking about Portsmouth's new workforce development program, Hire Portsmouth, a partnership with the public school system, the City of Portsmouth, Opportunity Inc., and major employers. Access to quality health care is critical to a high-quality lifestyle. Last year, the Naval Medical Center Portsmouth celebrated the anniversary of its first building, affectionately called Building 1. Building 1's history dates back to the 1700s. The hospital's main campus is home to more than 5,000 men and women who provide an array of healthcare services for our armed forces, their families, and military retirees. The Norfolk Naval Shipyard is one of the largest in the world, specializing in ship repair, overhauling, and modernization. In 2017, Portsmouth celebrated the 250th anniversary of the Norfolk Naval Shipyard. An important past, a vital future. Bon Secours Maryview Medical Center was named one of the nation's 50 top cardiovascular hospitals by IBM Watson Health. And everybody's talking about Maryview's addition of the state-of-the-art Da Vinci surgical system to its surgical robotics capabilities. Always engaged in the good health of the Portsmouth community, the Maryview Foundation Health Center treated 1,000 patients last year and helped them to receive $10.9 million in medications. Today, Portsmouth's retail districts feature everything from breweries and distilleries to boutiques and specialty shops to fine dining, new fast food chains, grocery stores, and fitness centers. Looking to relocate your business or start a new one? Portsmouth should be top of mind. 2 Virginia Enterprise Zones, small business incentive programs, a proposed technology zone, newly created office space, and strategic development sites in the city. Yeah, people are talking about Portsmouth, from the local media to the governor's mansion, talking about a brighter future in Portsmouth. Discover what all the buzz is about. Take the ferry, drive through newly renovated tunnels, take the MLK Connector or I-264, and visit Portsmouth. Spend the day, bring the family, and make some memories. There's always something happening on this, the right side of the river. Visit us online at www.portsvaevents.com.
Did you feel the energy? Do you feel it? Yeah. Aren't you proud? Isn't that great? Yeah. Yeah. We're about to close. And let me, you might be asking yourself, well, where do these employees come to do these jobs? Well, one source is the Portsmouth Public School System. And let me brag on the Portsmouth Public School System. We've got 3 high schools, to include my alma mater, Woodrow Wilson High School. And U.S. News and World Report has listed all 3 schools, all 3 of them, as the best high schools in the United States. All 3 of our high schools have a robust robotics program. In fact, and each one has a robotics team. One of our teams went to Missouri for the national championship last year. STEM, so important to these businesses. STEM starts in our elementary schools. Every elementary student is exposed to STEM programs, and they learn how to program drones so that they can fly, or they learn to launch and build a rocket ship, all in cooperation between the partnership of the Portsmouth Public Schools and Starbase Victory, which is a nonprofit whose executive director is retired Admiral Bill Hayden. Also in Portsmouth, our high school students have the opportunity at the same time to not only take high school classes, but college classes at the Portsmouth campus of Tidewater Community College. Now you're saying, so what? You can do that in a lot of localities. Well, and let me brag a little bit about the Portsmouth campus. It's called the Fred Beasley campus of Tidewater Community College. The provost is Michelle Woodhouse, and she's been provost since 2011. And I don't know if Michelle is here. If you are, would you stand? She's probably not. Her dad, the former mayor of Chesapeake, Mayor Ward, is in the ICU in a local hospital. So keep Michelle and her dad in your prayers, please. But in a partnership between TCC, Portsmouth campus, the Portsmouth Public School System, and the Beasley Foundation, we have students, now get this, who graduate on the same day with a high school diploma in one hand and a college diploma in the other. In no other locality in Hampton Roads can you do that. Imagine that. I mean, it's tough enough to get through high school, but to do more than 60 hours worth of college credit so that the day that you graduate from high school, you have 2 degrees, that's pretty cool. You're pretty prepared. The first graduate was a graduate from Norfolk High School in 2015, and this year we'll have 4 graduates. And they're getting degrees, not only a high school degree, but they're getting an associate's degree in science, no less. Science. I'd like the members of our school system to stand up. It's kind of tough in here to see, and let's recognize you. I think Claude Parent's here. Claude, are you here? Ah, okay. Well, thank you for what you do. Thank you very much. Portsmouth is the center of Hampton Roads. Really? I mean, you would expect me to tell you that, but the geographic center of all of Hampton Roads is right off of River Shores Drive and just a little bit west of Craney Island. All roads lead to Portsmouth. And so if you get lost, we have a little compass at your table. And just point it in any direction, and it will take you back to Portsmouth. But I want to deputize you. Tonight, when you stop at Kroger's and you're standing in line, I want you to tap the person in front of you, and I want you to be part of the conversation. I want you to be part of the conversation about everybody talking about Portsmouth. I want you to tap the person in front of you and say, I bet you did not know that we have TOMs in Portsmouth. I bet you did not know that all the cranes that are being assembled through this $740 million improvement of the ports in Hampton Roads are being done in Portsmouth. So we're going to give you a megaphone as you leave, so that you can tell everybody about Portsmouth. Have a great day, and thank you for coming. Thanks.